Okay, welcome everyone to the second World Wednesday session of spring semester 2021 on STEM programs abroad and away. My name is Andrea Dvorak. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm Associate Director of Off-Campus Programs here at Augsburg University. Thank you for being here. So today we are going to have a number of long conversation here about STEM programs abroad and away. And so let's kick that off and get started here. So here's what we're going to talk about today. Why study abroad as a STEM major? I think this is a great way to start to sort of talk about some of these things. We're going to kick it off with that. Then we're going to dig into some great programs, I think, for different STEM majors. We have the School for Field Studies representative here, Devin Foxall, so he'll be here to talk to us a little bit about some of their programs, which are particularly great at Augsburg for bio majors, so I'm just going to highlight that. I've also got some other great options for other STEM majors, so I will highlight a few others that work for a number of other STEM majors. I also want to highlight the Boren Scholarship, which is a great opportunity to study language in the summer if you're a STEM major. Especially if you're interested in working for the federal government in the future. So it's another option. And then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. So let's get started with this. So why study abroad as a STEM major? So I came up with a few answers to this question, but I would really invite both Devin and Emily to pipe in too with any of these. But here's what I kind of came up with. I think this was the first one, for me, study abroad experiences really help you question your assumptions. I think there's an element of going to a new place and seeing people live in a totally different way that makes you kind of ask yourself, yeah, why do I do whatever I do? And I think asking questions about the basic things that you want to just assume happen anyway, I think that makes you a better scientist. That's just kind of what I think as a non-scientist. So maybe Emily, let me know if you think that's right. But that's one of my thoughts about why study abroad and away is so great for STEM majors. I think STEM programs, if you're thinking about a grad program in the future, they're really international. There's so many international students or students from other cultures, or even faculty or staff at some of the grad programs who are international. And so having some foreign language skills, having some intercultural communication skills, I think that makes you a really great candidate. So that's something to definitely be thinking about. And I think it makes you really have a successful experience in your grad experience. I think study away can really give you a lot of transferable skills and a global perspective that makes you successful in almost any career. So it's just going to really help your resume in general. And finally, I would say, I think a lot of STEM majors get, I don't want to say stuck, but I mean, you end up having to take these like really rigid classes, right? And so a study away experience can include internships or research or other kinds of things like that, which really make, really kind of enhance that experience, give you something else to be thinking about. So that's something that I would consider. Emily or Devin, do you have anything more to add on this question of why study abroad is so great for STEM majors?
I'll just throw out there that I think on your last point about it's not just classes, I think a lot of STEM majors, because the course loads are quite heavy for a BS, it sometimes seems like a barrier, like an obstacle, like, oh, I've got to check all these boxes, I can't study abroad. But there are definitely ways to check those boxes of requirements in a major by studying abroad and taking classes off campus. And going back to this idea of why you'd want to do that, for sure, I think having a broader portfolio of experiences as an undergrad makes you a very good candidate both for jobs and for grad school, because I think employers and grad schools are looking for students who have not necessarily just followed this cookie cutter path, right? To sort of diversify your experience, and it's understood that when you travel or when you go, you kind of push yourself outside of what your comfort zone is, that you also are going to be able to carry that forward into your work and your study in the future. So that would be my argument for why STEM majors should study abroad.
Great, thank you. Devin, do you have anything to add?
Sure. I think one of the best reasons, especially for like biology majors, is to find an experience you can't possibly get on your home campus. So there'll be excellent classroom stuff that you can get on your home college or university, an amazing ecosystems right outside your door. But chances are there's very few like lions or elephants where you are right now. Kilimanjaro is not in your backyard. Scuba diving in the Atlantic every single day in the Turks and Caicos. So I would just recommend trying to find these like amazing and iconic ecosystems as part of your study abroad.
That's great. I do often tell students that, we don't have there's not a lot of oceans right around here. So if you're really interested in kind of ocean biology, you're kind of in a bad place here in the center of this continent, right, in Minnesota. So, well, great. Well, thank you for adding that. So I'm going to turn over to Emily now, and let's hear a little bit about your experience in Madagascar as an undergraduate, right?
Sure. Yep. I was a junior in college, so I went to a small liberal arts school like Augsburg, and decided my junior year to study abroad. And I actually kind of had an unusual combination of majors. I was a biology and French double major, and I wasn't really sure which avenue I wanted to pursue in terms of my career, because I was really passionate about both. And I found this program, study abroad program in Madagascar, that allowed me to use my French language skills in a ecology and conservation program. So it was just this wonderful way for me to merge my two areas of interest. And it was by far one of the most influential experiences of my life. I would say it set me on a path to being, a conservation biologist, which is what I am today. And yeah, I just can't say enough about having had that experience of being in such a very different environment in terms of immersion learning, learning about culture, learning language, learning about these ecosystems. We had amazing opportunities. We were able to join up with a group of field scientists who were associated with different museums and institutions from around the globe that were doing a biodiversity inventory. That picture on the right, we're hiking into this to meet up with these scientists and become sort of observers of their study. They were collecting all different kinds of organisms, identifying things that had never been identified before. They were naming new species of insects and birds, and it was just really exciting to sort of be right in that moment with those scientists as those discoveries were being made. So yeah, I can't say enough about having had that experience. I wouldn't change it for anything. I will say it was not easy. And I always tell my students who are interested in studying abroad, like, because I talk about it in such a glowing way, I maybe sugarcoat it a little bit, but it was not easy. It's challenging physically, it's challenging emotionally. People get gastric distress in these environments that you're new to. You're trying to cleanse your water before you drink it, all kinds of things you're facing, but really builds a lot of resilience in terms of your own personal, like how you carry yourself and your confidence, really, to be able to kind of make it through these different situations. So yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, it sounds really awesome and really cool, and like the kind of experience that would really shape you a lot, because I think challenging experiences really can shape you a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, okay, let's move on. I know, Emily, you wanted to talk a little bit about this opportunity. Also, this is a US-based experience.
Right. Yeah. And I will point out this as a specific opportunity, but just in a bigger sense, I want to point students towards opportunities that are in the United States as well, that you can go and take courses at field stations. This one here is actually in Minnesota, in Itasca State Park through the University of Minnesota. And they offer field courses, both 3 and 5 week courses. And these are, I would argue, an immersion experience. It's not an abroad experience, but you are immersed in that you are taking these courses in a very tight timeline, and you're out in the field and you're doing the work. It's not a classroom environment. It's very much experiential learning. And if students are, if there are any barriers to you in terms of being able to actually go abroad, this is a great opportunity for students. And so there are field stations in Montana and Virginia and all over the country. Woods Hole, like if you're interested in marine biology, where you can take courses that are just wonderful. So and will count towards your major. So this one in particular, I'm affiliated with Itasca. My husband is the director of the station, and they offer 4 courses in this coming summer. So they offer field microbiology, field mycology, which is the study of fungi, and then introduction to animal behavior and field mammalogy. So those are, if anyone has questions or wants to find out more information about that specific opportunity, you can reach out to me.
Great. Yeah, and I put in the chat the link for where you can find more information on the U of M website also. So feel free to check that out. And I'm really glad you highlighted this because we do know there are a lot of students out there who either can't or don't want to go out of the US for various reasons. So it's good to have some US options that work well for people. Okay, so I'm gonna let us move on. So we're gonna jump over now to hear more about the School for Field Studies programs, which Devin can tell us a little bit more about. So
Sure.
take it away, Devin.
First, I'll say if you can get to Madagascar, especially in the south, it's amazing. I got to go there a few years ago, and it also changed my life. It was a pretty wild place.
Awesome.
We don't offer Madagascar, but we do have 10 locations around the globe. So we've been very popular with biology majors. Typically about 40% of our students will be bio majors, and then about 20 to 30% will be environmental studies and sciences. And then after that, it's usually the full spectrum of academia. But principally, you are taking what you're learning in the biology classrooms now, and then you're bringing out into the field in one of these 10 locations. So the next slide will show you where we are. So we try to offer anything that the Earth offers, we try to reflect through our coursework. So in Peru and the Amazon, you're doing a rainforest studies program. Tanzania or Kenya, East Africa, the Serengeti, it's more wildlife studies. In Bhutan and the Himalayas, you're studying mountain ecology. And the idea is to get a very field-based education. So at least half your credit hours would actually be spent outside the classroom walls, doing this field work in all these places like the Himalayas or the Daintree, the oldest primary rainforest in the world, there in Australia. Oh, next slide. So sort of like a very quick roundup of what we do, and then you can go to fieldstudies.org to learn more about us. But it's biology focused. So if you're a bio major, this is one of like the best options I think to look at. There's no language prerequisites for any of the courses. As people usually say, the language of SFS is science. There are 23 programs, both as a semester option and summer. Usually you'll bring back a semester's worth of credits if you do a fall or spring semester program. It's really hands-on, so it's a great program if you love getting your hands dirty. You are definitely roughing it in a lot of these locations. There might not be hot water at the centers. There might not be fresh water that often. The meals are a little bit more rustic, not that great of internet, but Kilimanjaro's in your backyard in Kenya. You're scuba diving in the Atlantic. That's a typical day. So we're in some of the most iconic ecosystems around the world. You should be able to find almost any sort of like ecology through our coursework. And it's real research, meaning that the students will be studying anything that's of interest to the community and then presenting it back at the end of every semester. So there's this like form of reciprocity to every program. So even when you come back to Augsburg with these credits, with these new field skills, the science that you've done in the field will continue to have a lasting impact. So
Wow.
fieldstudies.org, if you have any questions, you can find our info there.
Great. I just put that link in the chat. Thanks, Devin.
Thanks.
This has been a great program. There's been a number of biology students and environmental studies students at Augsburg who've taken advantage of these programs. The last one that I was thinking of is Angelica. We had her picture on at the top of this presentation. And I remember hearing from her. She was in Costa Rica, I think, with you guys, Devin. And she had a great experience there. And I know she was interested in that program because there was the opportunity for both the marine and the sort of forest stuff. So she could kind of try both. I think she was kind of trying to decide which she liked better. And so it was a cool opportunity to sort of get your hands into each one and really experience that and make some decisions about what she was interested in. So it really helped her. And yeah, I think she had a great experience with that research. I remember she told me she came back from it and, when she was there, she found I think she was talking about mycology. I found some kind of mushroom that the local director of the program had not seen before. And they actually had to get on the phone with some other scientists in Mexico to find out if this was something anybody had seen. So she may have sort of found a new kind of mushroom. So it's kind of exciting for her. So anyway.
Can I just throw out one more comment here, just getting back to this idea of why STEM majors would want to study abroad. You know, a lot of our STEM students at Augsburg are pre-health students, and I'm always trying to pull them into the ecology world, of course, because that's my area of passion. But you know, everyone is required to take courses across the breadth of the major, and this is such an amazing way to get your ecology credits. And again, I can't drive home enough how, you know, as a pre-health student, how impressive it is to have this kind of background on your resume. If you're planning to go to medical school or PA school, when schools see this, you know, on your resume, on your transcript, it really points you, kind of highlights your experiences. And I just want to emphasize that it's not just for students who are interested in ecology and conservation or environmental studies, that pre-health students certainly should consider these opportunities as well.
Yeah, great. Thanks for pointing that out, because yeah, anyone who needs the ecology credit might as well take advantage. Okay, so now we're going to jump over, and I'm just going to highlight for you guys a few other options for STEM majors. And I want to just highlight, I've got a smattering of options here, but these are by no means the only ones. It's kind of a sample, okay? So take that for what it's worth. So the first one I want to show you is this opportunity at the American College of Greece. This is an exchange partner with Augsburg. This has been really popular for a lot of majors at Augsburg, and I think the reason is because it's a full university with all classes in English. It's an American college. So it's really widely available and open for almost every major. So that's really worked well for a lot of students. This program, as I've mentioned, all courses taught in English. A couple nice things about this: they have really beautiful dorms. They were host for the Olympics in 2004, and so they got really fancy new dorms at that time. So it's very nice where you would live. So that's nice. A beautiful city, and obviously very historically interesting in Athens, in Greece. Very easy to travel also in Europe, very low cost because things are very close. There's a lot of great excursions that are included with this program also. So the school kind of includes that for any exchange students. And you can see here a group of students on one of their exchange excursions that they're on. The other thing to just highlight here, you can see the sort of pink flag at the bottom corner of this slide. All of our exchange partners do offer a $1,000 travel grant to every Augsburg student. So that's another sort of little financial incentive to think about this option. The next one I have for you is physics in Scotland. I pulled this one up. I put physics here because I found a few great physics classes, but I think there would be a number of other STEM majors that would have great options here. This is interesting, I think, if you're kind of interested in sort of Scottish history or anything like that, or just kind of interested in a really old university. This is the 4th oldest university in the UK. They started in 1451. So I think for those of us in the US who our history is a lot shorter here, right? So that's pretty cool. There's some great physics classes there, quantum mechanics, you can see nuclear and particle physics. You can also do some great sort of Scottish history classes, culture classes. So to take a little bit of a break from some of those science classes. You can even take what they call piping, which we would think of as bagpiping. So that's that one. I love to talk about this option. This is the University of Waikato in New Zealand. I like this one. Again, this is another full university. Courses taught in English, so works really well for almost anyone. I specifically noticed a lot of chemistry and computer science classes at Waikato, so those in particular, but I think a lot of majors, again, would have some great options here. New Zealand is amazing for outdoor enthusiasts, so if you're interested in surfing, skiing, hiking, those kinds of things, Lots of options for all of that stuff outside your back door in New Zealand for sure. The other thing I really like about Waikato, and a reason that we are partners with them, is their strong connection with the Maori people, the indigenous people in New Zealand. You can see even in the university logo here, there's some language underneath the word Waikato, which you maybe can't quite read, but that's basically says the University of Waikato in Maori. So they're very connected to the Maori traditions there. They have a lot of great classes about the impact of Maori life in New Zealand. So I think it's a really cool opportunity for that. You can even see the welcome ceremony on the sort of top right corner photo, the welcome ceremony they have for students every year coming in. Okay, and the last one I wanted to highlight for you guys is this one. This is our own program in Mexico. Not everyone knows that we have a great medical Spanish program that we offer every summer. So this is a great opportunity, of course, for anyone in the healthcare fields, obviously doctors, nurses, PAs, etc. You can take Spanish for healthcare professionals, and you can take it from a bilingual doctor. So this is a little bit unusual. I think, a lot of places that teach language, even if they teach sort of a specialized class like this, they don't have it taught by someone in the field. So I think you really get some very specific vocabulary and really accurate vocabulary in that sense. You can get sort of academic credit for the medical internship you do at the hospital there. You can see a couple Auggies here at their internship. And you can shadow doctors in a variety of specializations on this program. So you can kind of get a sense of like what's obstetrics like, what's, some of the different specialties, for example. All of our programs in Mexico and in our other locations that Augsburg runs, we have great sort of local immersion in the communities and really personalized attention. So that's all available to you. I see, Ingrid, your question about do you have to major in bio to qualify for the summer medical Spanish? No, in fact, there's no requirement aside from having a little bit of Spanish to start. You need a little bit of Spanish in order to go in for that Spanish for healthcare professionals because it is a little bit higher level Spanish. But I will say also, I've had a number of students who have no Spanish go in and start with a first level Spanish and then jump into the Spanish for healthcare professionals. So you can sort of tack on some extra time. I also see Allie asking, can credit be earned for the medical terminology course? Yeah, that course it's actually in the Augsburg catalog, Spanish for healthcare professionals. It's not medical terminology, maybe. I'm not sure about that. We could look into that, Allie. I can get back to you. Okay, I want to move on. We do have time for questions at the end as well. So, we'll grab the next slide here, which I really want to highlight for STEM majors. So Emily was mentioning that she was both sort of a French major and a bio major and was kind of like thinking about those two things. And I want to really highlight this opportunity to do summer language learning for STEM majors. I know very well, and I think the Boren Awards knows that most STEM majors have a really hard time going for a whole semester, especially if you're going to do a lot of language learning. That would be pretty difficult or almost impossible to spend a bunch of time language learning. But the Boren Awards is a national scholarship to get more Americans to know more what they call critical languages, so that they can bring some of those folks into the federal government and work in different fields. So if you're interested in any of the priority agencies I've got on here, it's really almost anything inside Department of Defense, Intelligence, Homeland Security, etc. But there's a number of different things within that. So folks interested in bio or environmental studies might think about the Energy Department or EPA or Natural Resources and Conservation. Folks interested more on the medical side could consider Centers for Disease Control, CDC, or the National Institutes of Health, for example. So there's a number of different agencies where you could potentially work. If you win a Boren scholarship, you go for the summer for 8 to 11 weeks and study one of the critical languages. I list a few here: Arabic, Chinese, Korean, Swahili, but there's a number of others. There's a huge list, but these do tend to be critical for national security. And so they don't tend to be Spanish, French, German, sort of typical languages that more of us have studied. So it's more of the uncommon languages. So if you win, you study one of these languages in the summer, and all winners then work for a minimum of 1 year for the federal government after graduation. you could work longer. Of course, you could build a whole career in federal government after this. So something to really think about.